Hey guys, welcome back to the Project B Ball podcast. This is going to be an episode of the review series. So here we go. Let's get it started. Uh, so I'll be reviewing 2 days. Saturday starting August 1st, as well as Sunday, which was August 2nd. So the games on these 2 days were extremely intriguing. We had the Heat versus the Nuggets, the Pelicans versus the Clippers, the Lakers versus the Raptors, the Jazz versus the Thunder, and the 76ers versus the Pacers. So let's start off with the Heat versus the Nuggets. This was a pretty, what should I say? I kind of expected the Heat to win. Don't get me wrong, the Nuggets are a great team, but I just thought the Heat had the upper hand in this case. Jimmy Butler, obviously, we know he played really well for them. They won by around 20 points, so it was a little more than I expected. I thought it would be a little closer, but nevertheless, let's move on. Next up, we got the Pelicans versus the Clippers. Now, this is a game that's meant to talk about. So, when this bubble started, we all were under the attention that the Pelicans wanted to make the playoffs, but since the regular season started, they haven't been playing Zion as much as I thought they would, and that resulted them losing by 23 points in this case. That, in my opinion, because they're having Zion on a minutes restriction right now, so I don't know what their deal is. They lost the last 2 games. Because Zion pretty much didn't play the whole game. And yeah, I don't know what they're really doing here, what their plan is, but we'll see, I guess. Next, we had the Lakers versus the Raptors. Now, this was an insane upset. I definitely thought the Lakers were going to win, I'm not going to lie. But the Raptors really pulled through and proved how good of a team they actually are, and that they're contenders for sure. I mean, and the stat that really stood out to me in that game was that Kyle Lowry had 14 rebounds. I was pondering to myself how a team with LeBron and Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard lets a point guard like Kyle Lowry get 14 rebounds. That was just crazy to me. But overall, great game for the Raptors. OG Anunoby played amazing. All their role players played really good. Kyle Lowry obviously got 30-something points, 14 rebounds. Crazy game overall. Now let's move on to the next game, which was the Jazz versus the Thunder. Nothing too special here. I mean, I guess this game was pretty fun to watch. Thunder ended up winning, getting the upper hand on the Jazz by 16 points. So it wasn't too close in that regard. Next, we got the 76ers versus the Pacers. So this game, TJ Warren just went off. He knew he didn't want to be traded for cash considerations. He knew that the Phoenix Suns devalued him. So he went off for 53 points. This was an insane game right here. TJ Warren was traded for cash considerations, and he's out here playing like an all-star. He dropped 53 points with, I think, 9 threes or something like that. Game was still pretty close, but he's really what carried the Pacers through. Now, let's move on to the Sunday games. So for the Sunday games, we had the Wizards versus the Nets. We had the Spurs versus the Grizzlies, the Bucks versus the Rockets, the Blazers versus the Celtics, the Kings versus the Magic, and the Mavericks vs the Suns. So, a lot of interesting upsets here. The first game, I definitely expected the Nets to win. I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan, but they were playing the Washington Wizards, and even though they didn't have half their team, they still won because the Washington Wizards didn't have Bradley Beal and all that stuff. But I was definitely rooting for them to win that one, so that was good. Next, we have the Spurs versus the Grizzlies. The Spurs came on top in this one. It was an extremely close game, and that's a theme with the games throughout this weekend. They're extremely close, maybe 1 to 4 points separating most of them. So we had a 2-point win from the Spurs in this game. Ja Morant played phenomenally, but he just wasn't able to come on top. And now we had the next game. We have the Bucks versus the Rockets. I definitely wanted the Rockets to win this game, and they ended up coming on top by 4 points. Great game played by both teams. James Harden played phenomenally, but I think what really killed them was when James Harden just exploded for that run around the end. And yeah. it was a great win to see. Extremely competitive game. Next, we have one of the other amazing games that we have another impressive game called with the Trailblazers and the Celtics. So this game, the Trailblazers were down by 24 points. Around the fourth quarter, they actually took the lead, but Jason Tatum, they were no match for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum had 34 points, and Jaylen Brown went ahead and dropped 30 points of his own. So yeah, this was a crazy game for both teams. Damian Lillard was just beasting when they were down by 24. He knew that they could still come on top, but unfortunately, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown came on top. And Jason Tatum saying it's the haircut. He got a haircut right before the game, so yeah. What do you guys think in the comments? You think it's the haircut that made him better, or what? Because the game previous to this, he only dropped 5 points, and then he got a haircut and dropped 34. So pretty interesting. So the next game we want to talk about is the Kings versus the Magic. Pretty average game. Obviously had a lot of young talent. Fun to watch that stuff. Fast-paced offense, but the Magic came on top by 16 points. And lastly, the last game I'm going to review today is the Mavericks vs the Suns. The Mavericks, I had them winning this game, but turns out the Suns took the lead and won by 2 points in the end. We had amazing performances from Kristaps Porzingis and Luka. Luka dropped almost a 40-point triple-double, 40 points, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds, and then Kristaps had 30 points of his own. Great game for those two. But on the Phoenix Suns side, we have Ricky Rubio who dropped 20 and Devin Booker who dropped 30 himself. So pretty close game, but I did not expect the Suns to win. I did not expect the Suns to win. I expected the Mavericks to win, but yeah. So yeah, that's going to conclude today's review series. Next up, we're going to have either Gokul and Rene review the next 2 days. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for listening. Bye.